concern here is that I am not used to playing these enormous convention slots, and I only did it this time because of some cool properties of this game. For that reason, we're going to take a break in the middle, or else I, at least, am going sideways. We are going to do something I almost never do for a convention, which is actually make characters. Now, the way this game plays is that we each make 2 characters. That we won't do that today. We'll just make one. We each make 2 characters, including me, and then they go in the middle, and they are the circle. And then for each of the episodes that we play, you pick which character you want to play. And
at random or
no, you choose.
Okay.
And if you or unless you want it to be at random, right? But the point though is that you cannot play the same character as you played last time. So you can repeat, but not consecutively. And since there are so many, there are twice as many as all of the people, including the game master who does not play a character. Then that means that there's a good mix. There's a lot of characters. Pick someone new or no one has seen yet, or someone who has been played a lot. The emergent properties of this practice are striking.
Yeah, really
Very,
interesting.
very striking, in fact. And I won't go on about them now. For our purposes today, you will each only make 1. I have made 2. And then we will put them all in the middle. And that will be fine for our purposes. For a little bit of context. And I love explaining this in Europe because it's so much easier. Because this
we have a longer history? Or
I will explain what I mean in a moment, or perhaps you will see. But this is a made-up fantasy world in a completely irresponsible 80s fashion where you just, make a map. But this is only a little piece of a map that is otherwise unknown. I don't even know what the continent looks like. And so this is a crescent-shaped sea. It's big enough to be a sea. It's about the size of the end of the Mediterranean. And the primary feature is this seriously dramatic mountain range just inland along the inner slope, the inner curve. Now, this whole play, it's the culturally we are speaking, I will be very precise. Culturally, we are really speaking about the southern Baltic, sometime in the 900s. Culturally, not literally. But it's scattered through with Old German, and I borrow from a lot of that. But the precise history is very different. Don't concern yourself with what actually was there at that time. But it is clear whatever contact with the most of the rest of the world has been dropped down to a minimum for some time. Bronze is only now available in old items that keep getting melted and reused because the trade that makes bronze possible is no longer there. People now, it's all iron now. It's what we would call pig iron. People are just beginning to carburize it for a steel coating on very few items. And it is a place that has been shattered by a magical war. Forces of magic that people commit to and gain power from, fight among one another, has devastated the culture. It is culturally shattered below a level that you would have thought of from that place and time. And is a wretched pit of pain and misery for a great many people.
Yay!
Yes. There are 4 regions, basically the inner coast of the mountains, these uplands here, back here, and down here. But these are regions. There's no border, they're not countries, people don't think in those terms. And culturally, insofar as it is functional, we are not talking about feudalism either. It is much more in in this, it's much easier to talk about with people from Europe, because in the States you have knights in armor in the 15th century, and then you have some sort of vaguish kind of Middle Ages something or other, and then you have post-Rome or Rome, but it's kind of they're kind of not sure what that is, and if you try to do anything, they bump it into the later phase. So it's a little easier, I think, for us. If I say Iron Age, semi-Nordic, semi-German, it's easier to people grasp that. So that's kind of what has happened. I'm over-explaining everything. I'm really sorry about this.
Not at all.
Yeah, well, what has happened is that this region has seen an uprising against basically the wizards and powers and entities that are involved in these huge magical fights, and have centered around a perceived leader or around a perceived focal point. And the nature of the magical war is that there are two powerful principles. There's white and there's black. And they are horrific. Both of them are terrible. It's easy to see them as, opposed principles, but neither one of them has anything to do with human concerns or human benefit or anything like that. So whether a region was enslaved or whether a region was devastated, whether a region was torn apart by the wars among the people because of this, what we have now is mostly either whatever human communities have managed to persist as a culture, and then this region here, which actually managed to purge the worst of this from this inner area.
Ron, you have gotten me so excited now. I'm really excited.
I'm glad to hear this, but let me continue just for one moment. Something particularly strange happened, which is that groups of people who joined in what was effectively a movement, although it does have kind of a figurehead or an idealized figure of a leader, who is just a young man who is called the king in Roca, which is this area. But note the term Canik, which is not a king like a European royalty. It's just war chief. And also note king in Roca, not of. There is no sense of the king of a place.
Did you say Canik?
Yeah.
It's like is it like Canik, the like priest in Swedish?
No.
It's no connotation of.
No, it's not priest. It's war chief.
Yeah.
It's if a group of badasses are leading some sort of collective violence, then whoever they listen to, they have decided they're going to listen to this guy. Yeah. It's that guy. And so the people have clustered around this person or say that they're acting in line with their goals, and those people are called the Circle. And they are basically scarred veterans or survivors of different crises who have agreed that they want to do something about this. They don't serve the king. They don't get missions from anybody. They know each other. They have fought together. There's a little bit of collective training they have developed. It's very new. All of you joined the Circle in the full course of making the Circle. Your originals. There's no tradition of there's no Jedi, that you have joined, and so but something very interesting has occurred. The Circle has developed the technique of using both kinds of magic at once.
So grey magic.
Exactly correct, which is the name of the 6th chapter.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's cheating using magic too.
Yeah. And so the question, though, I mean, this is very dangerous and very weird, and the forces involved are terrifying and destructive. So, are you making things worse, or are you solving things? Right? Who knows? But the fact is that it is the circle and the people who have contributed to it who broke the back of the warring forces that were ruining everything. So. There's a lot of interesting variables about this that we will discover as we make characters. So let's just jump into that.
Yes.
Stop boring you with my chit chat.
It's fun.
No, it's
a
really
lot of
good.
taking.
Yeah, I definitely want to read the book. And the novels as well.
Oh no, never. We are making the novels through play.
Do you have a pen with you?
It's kind of cool. Okay. Now we've got. Do you want your coffee break?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do coffee break and we'll jump straight into play.
Oh, no, okay, I'm so excited.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Let's take a little break for a second.
Yeah.
And I will drink some water. And
I'm very happy to play with all of you.
yeah. In this case, you have been told, and you are going on. This is actually fairly extreme. Through social connections of some kind, their daily lives or whatever, this region right here, there is a significant wave or burst or blast of Herbaja magic. And that is the kind of thing that the circle doesn't like. And so some of you have said, that's going on. Let's show the world that we can make a difference. Let's show the world that we can put a stop to this kind of thing. Because the usual response to something like that is for the population to leave. And so the idea that somebody would actually go there and say, we are going to do something about this is kind of crazy. So that's who the four of you are. You have decided to go. Now, you are not just a posse of four people. When you travel, there are people who are with you and people who join you in that region and maybe hunt for you and guide you and stuff like that. And then as you pass through, they fall away and new people, will start doing that. So as long as you are being decent and obey the laws of hospitality and things like that, people will be pretty decent back to you and you will be guided and fed and stuff like that. So now you are from Femberg.
Oh, yeah.
So that means that you actually know of these different areas and can say a little bit about where you are going.
Yeah.
And when you get closer, the climate and the food and things like that are now more like you. All of you have regional accents. You speak the same language technically, but they are strong. The regional accents in the perimeter get stronger and stronger. So that means that as you are traveling, the people who are not from Femberga are starting to say, oh, they talk like Bertold. Mm. So that's sort of the process of traveling there. So we are talking about this area right here. And to show you some pictures, I should have made a big page of just these pictures. But you will see that there is only a small piece of coastline here. Only a small piece of coastline here that is not cliffs. Right? Most of this coastline is not usable. Right? Only a small piece there. And it's still not a great shore. Look at that shore.
Yeah.
Right? It's still not that great.
Yep.
And then there's the community in there, like most of them, will look a lot like this.
Yeah, like a small village.
And then the upland forests up here, very much like this. It looks kind of open between them, but anyone who walks in a forest like this realizes that all that brush is quite thick. So that should give you an idea of what this place is.
Is it taiga
Looks like home.
or
Pardon?
taiga?
No, this is more dense pine forest.
Okay.
Yeah. So taiga might be more like this up here.
Okay.
Okay. So this region is called Osterode. This community in there, Osterode. And the travel would not be by sea. You would be traveling basically, probably here would be the last place. Maybe some of you even live here. So not be too far a journey, but this is still fairly, you're moving into territory that is more and more local. You would be dealing with very local towns or villages without much, and each one is easily abandoned unless it could be defended. And when we get up here, most of them can't be defended. So the people's only response to some kind of raid or something like that is to scatter. You would be passing at least one community, a lot like the one I showed, that has been burned out in the last year. Arrival is important in this game. You have been involved in communities as you have traveled. That means that people have been talking about you, and by the time that you get where you are going, people know you are coming. It is no surprise, no secret. You don't show up and say, "Hello, villager, I am so-and-so. Can you tell me who the chief is around here?" No, you moved in. In a culture like this, if you travel somewhere, you're going to be living there.
Do they know we are from the circle?
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
Yeah, well, you guys tends to, yes, it tends to be open.
Does it show in a way on...
yes. And at this point, the circle is, if we may say so, a little ready to say, we are here. So there's a little risk involved with that, but the way it works is this. If you behave according to your social rank and start operating in the region as such a person, you'll settle in. So your characters have actually been here for at least a couple of weeks. You have the whatever they do at the seashore, whatever boating they do, or whatever maritime fishing or things like that they do there, you've taken off your shirt and you have gotten out there and you have got to work with people. You have met whoever it is who are the purveyors of violence who purports to, quote, protect this region. You are sleeping with them, you are eating with them, you have met them. You have shared the stories of your background. You are from somewhere in Famberga. There's going to be some kin connections back there somewhere.
Yeah, cousins.
Exactly, yeah. So this is, the Nordic sagas. Every name comes with footnotes.
Yeah.
So you have shared those stories and gotten an idea. Sooner or later, you have had to sit down, pulled out your hash pipe, and people have gathered around to see what on earth you think. They have their own ways of doing things here that are pretty local. You have noticed that there are symbols up here based on the crow or the raven or the rook, whatever version of that they have here, that bird. They use that symbol a lot. You have never seen that before. But that's important for them, though, their symbol of their resistance against black magic. And that's important because here there is some sort of Irbaja effect going on in this area they seem to associate their religion with protection against it in a very specific way. This
Blackbird against black
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. And so perhaps you have had to sit down and talked with people about this, and and they are curious. You're using magic. You're the circle. Aren't you all wizards? How can you be a priest? That kind of thing.